The DEL2 is Germany's second-tier league. It's been rebranded in 2013 because it used to be called the Bundesliga. It's become more and more professional, reaching the status as the highest attendance in Europe for the second-tier leagues. The teams in the DEL2 can have up to 6 import players on the roster and dress up to 4 import players per game. It's seen as a stepping stone to the DEL, but is also a very strong league by itself. The DEL2 is a professional league, with all its players being full-time hockey professionals. The relegation to the Oberliga and the promotion to the DEL was never consistent in the past decades, with the DEL and the DEL2 re-establishing the promotion with the next season, the 2020 and 21 season. The relegation to the Oberliga has been in place for more years. Okay, so our next interview will be with Alex Lambacher. Alex is a player in the DEL right now as well, and it will be very interesting to hear his experience because he's played in all of the leagues in Germany. He started in the DNL, in the German Junior League, then moved up to the Oberliga, the DEL2, also had an experience in North America in the NAHL, and then finally made it to the DEL the last season. So hi Alex, thank you for being here with us today.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so our first question will be, how did you move to Germany and how did you get to do that? Because we know you're Italian, so you had to move out to Germany at a very early age, right?
So, as soon as I was younger, I always wanted to go somewhere else to play hockey, or somewhere where it'd be a little more professional. And it was this one year, I think when I was 13 years old, I went to a camp in St. Pölten with some guys from South Tyrol, and there was a Mannheim junior coach, and he recognized me, and then he asked me if I would come for a tryout. And then in the next season, I went there, and everything worked out. I liked it there, and then I decided to make the move and go there after I was done with the middle school at home. And then I got there, and then I was 5 years in the junior program. Then I was done with the school. I made my exams, and then I decided to try it out in North America because I wanted to go to college. But then things didn't work out as well as I wanted, and then I came back, and now I've played pro for 4 years in Germany.
So you said you were 14 when you moved out?
I think I was 13.
Yeah, and was it always your intent to go out or somewhere else to play hockey, or how did you think about going to Germany?
No, I always wanted to. I remember the year before Pablo and Ramoser went to Mannheim too, and I always wanted to go too, but I didn't know it was possible for me. So I didn't really ask around or stuff. But then I got an offer from Salzburg in the same year. It wasn't the season before, and I didn't know if I wanted to go there. But as soon as Mannheim's offer came up, I decided to go right away.
Mm-hmm. So basically, they asked you through these tournaments that you played in some other countries. They just saw you and then asked you.
You mean Mannheim or Salzburg?
Both of them.
Salzburg asked me because we always went with the Südtirol as well. We went those tournaments in Austria, and that's where they asked me. And then Mannheim asked me because I think it was a lucky coincidence that the coach was just there at that camp, and then he saw me and then got into talking, and then he offered me to come for a tryout.
Yeah, so our next question would be about the school part. How did you manage your high school when you went out to Germany? Because coming from Italy, you had to adjust to that as well. How was that organized?
Well, the good thing was to compare with the school at home, it was a little easier. So the start was not too hard for me. But then with all the practice and all the games, sometimes it wasn't as easy. But they had a great cooperation with the school. So we have extra teachers helping us out. We could miss practice in school in the morning and go to practice. Sometimes if you come home from a game late, we could miss the first 2 hours in the next day. So they had a good cooperation, which really worked out well.
Yeah, so did you finish the high school? Did you get your diploma?
Yeah, I got my A-level exam. Got it done.
So do you think that you could do the best that you could in each, the school and the hockey, so you didn't miss out on anything?
Well, also with all the practices, and we had school all day, so there wasn't a lot of free time, and obviously sometimes I missed out on stuff that our students wouldn't. But I think at the end, we had a couple guys who went pro before they finished their school and just wanted to finally make money. And I don't have one single player now that's now at a farther point than I am. Like, they probably all regret it now to went away too early, because it's so important to have something in your hands, because obviously after hockey there's a life too. So for me it was really important, because I could have went pro my last year too. Mannheim asked me already to come up and practice with them, but I decided to finish my school and to make sure I have maybe an exam in my hands.
It's very interesting to see that you played in all of the 3 pro leagues in Germany. So our question will be, how big is the difference from the DEL to the DEL2 and to the Oberliga? What can you tell us about the similarities and differences among those leagues?
All 3 leagues are really different. The Oberliga there are some good players in it, but there are a lot of players that are not really professional. Like 80% of the players there work. So I mean, like, practices are not held like in the DEL2 and the DEL, where like players they play hockey. They're professionals, so they put in all their efforts and it's just more professional, to say the easiest probably. Sometimes a lot of times players would miss practices in the Oberliga because they have to work, and it's understandable too. But that's things like they never would happen in the DEL2 and the DEL. So I think the professional aspect is a big difference from the Oberliga to the other 2 leagues, and just the level is I think all 2 leagues is a big difference. The Oberliga has like maybe 1-2 good lines. They think they're really good at hockey. Then in the DEL2 you have like 2-3, and in the DEL just have 4 good lines who really push up the pace. And I think especially the pace is the big difference. Like in the Oberliga you have so much time with the puck and so much time deciding whatever, and then in the DEL2 it gets less. It's more like a grinding work, and then in the DEL you really need to play smart hockey and make no mistakes, because every mistake is like the jump. I think was pretty hard to make, so that's why I decided to go pro too. Because usually what the big deal is, in juniors you play a big rule, and then you come up to the pros and you're just like a 4th liner or something. You're not used to. You haven't been doing in your whole life, and you gotta find your role there. So it was obviously tough at the start. It's I think it is a high jump, and you gotta get used to it. Professional hockey is really different than junior hockey, and there's people who fail because of it. There's other people who maybe weren't as good in juniors, but then developed extremely in professionals because they can handle it better. And so yeah, I think it's a big step for a junior kid to get into pro hockey.
Yeah, and how did you manage all those transfers? Because you moved around quite a bit. Did you have an agent, or who did that for you?
To be honest, I never liked the word agent. I always, you hear things and you always have like a weird feeling about it. But then when I tried to go to the USA after my 5 years in Mannheim, and then I knew I have to get somebody who helps me get drafted, get settled there. If something happens, that somebody that helps me out and knows people around there. So I asked around a little bit, and then I came up with this Jay Lignowski, and he really helped me out when I was in the US, because things didn't work out well, as already said. And I needed help, and he really helped me out. I alone probably I would have had to come home right away. Like this, I ended my season there, and it actually was an okay season, but he really helped me making my steps there. And then when I came back, I decided to keep him, because sometimes, like, obviously there's always the best agent, the better one with the better connections. But for me, it was just important to have somebody I can trust, and somebody really I can share my doubts with and share my opinion. And if I can trust him honestly, it's more important to me than if he's the best agent, gets me the most money or the better team. Because at the end, all you want to do is settle in a team where you feel comfortable too, and that's about to do with your decision. If he makes all the decisions, I think it's the right thing.
Okay, so you would say that you would need an agent if you want to be a pro hockey player?
It depends. Like if you stay in Germany and you're known in Germany, I don't think you need one, to be honest. Obviously, and with contracts and stuff, you need somebody who knows. Like there's players that have been screwed over with contracts that they didn't get the money as they wanted, or like they would have to pay more insurance than they thought, or stuff like that, and you just miss out on money. So it's good to have somebody that knows the process, has been around a lot and knows how things are done. think that's really important, because if you do and you don't know, you can get screwed over easily. But then at the end, what I learned is, it doesn't matter how good an agent is, you're responsible for your offers. There's no agent in the world, if you're not good at hockey, he will give you a great contract and a great team. So at the end, you yourself, or you're responsible for your offers, for where you can play. He just can help you out, make no mistakes on contracts, or maybe, give you a little more money out of a contract. That's something an agent really can be helpful with, I think.
Would the teams contact you first, or your agent, or would you have anything to say in the negotiations? What's the sequence there?
Well, so Mannheim was an easy thing, because they told me as soon as I left, if I want to come back, I just have to let them know. So that really went through me. And to be honest, in the second time, because I only switched team last year from Mannheim to Augsburg, and it happened the same way. There was a scout who was always in Heilbronn, and he talked directly to me, and then we put my agent in, and then we discussed it all together. And then, so what happened was the scout told me that Augsburg was interested, but then my agent and the GM here, they did the contract talks. I came here once for a visit during their playoffs to get to know them a little bit, but then all the contract stuff they took care of it. I just had to sign them and make sure everything is fine what I have in the contract.
So that was it for us. Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, especially you that played in so many different leagues. And the best of luck for you in the upcoming season. And we hope to see you in the TV for many more years. Thank you.